Among the abandoned houses in the run-down neighborhood of Lee City stood an old, forsaken school. Its crumbling walls, peeling paint, and dark windows, which had not seen sunlight for years, made it the subject of sinister urban legends. People spoke of unimaginable events that had once occurred there, but over time, all evidence and testimonies had been lost in the mists of time. James Clayton and his friends, always on the lookout for new thrills, could not resist the temptation to explore the school. The night was pitch black, with clouds, like frozen shadows, obscuring the moon. James, Rachel, Adam, and Tina entered the building through a gaping hole in the wall. "Seriously, guys, do we really have to do this?" Rachel said, her voice trembling with fear, but she still stepped forward. "What's there to be afraid of?" Adam replied. "It's just an old school. What could be so scary?" Their flashlights illuminated old textbooks, moldy corridors, and broken desks. In the silence, interrupted only by the echoes of their footsteps, there was a palpable sense of malevolence. They climbed the creaky stairs to the upper floor, where the ancient library was located. "This should be interesting," James said, confident in his bravery. "If anything's left, it'll be here." When they entered the library, their flashlights revealed cobweb-covered walls and shelves stacked with old books, their covers barely visible under layers of dust. It seemed no one had touched them for many years. In the center of the room was an old table with several open books, their pages yellowed and cracked. "This is odd," Tina observed. "Why aren't the books covered in dust?" Before anyone could answer, the floor beneath them cracked, and the group fell into a dark, dusty basement. The fall was hard, but no one was seriously hurt, except for a few bruises and scratches. They turned on their flashlights and examined their surroundings. "We need to get out of here," James said. "Let's head for the stairs." However, the staircase they had hoped to use was collapsed. Additionally, the only exit was blocked by fallen debris. "We're trapped," Adam said, his voice tinged with desperation. "We need to find another way out." Tina noticed an old door in the corner, which seemed to be locked with chains. She approached and carefully pulled at the chains. The door creaked open, and they entered a narrow corridor leading to an even darker room. Suddenly, the light from their flashlights revealed something terrifying: words scratched onto the walls, as if someone had clawed them with their nails. The words were indecipherable, but the message was clear: they've come back. Don't look into their eyes. "What is this?" Rachel asked, her face pale with fear. "Just old graffiti," James said, trying to reassure her, though he was starting to have doubts about their decision. They reached the end of the corridor and opened another door. Inside was an ancient office. In one corner stood a desk piled with old papers and tools. On the walls hung portraits of people with empty, meaningless gazes. One of the paintings caught James's eye. It depicted a woman in old-fashioned clothing, her eyes drawn in a way that made it seem like they were following him. "It's just paintings," James said. "Nothing to worry about." But when he turned to continue exploring, his flashlight suddenly went out. The room plunged into darkness, and he felt a cold wind pass through him like a dead breath. "James," Rachel called, but her voice seemed distant. Flashlights began to fail one by one, and in the complete darkness, whispers and strange sounds started to be heard. James tried to find his friends, but all his efforts were in vain. He stumbled upon an old safe in the corner, which was slightly ajar. Inside was a book, its cover adorned with strange symbols. James opened it, and the pages revealed words that seemed to glow in the dark: "Those who dare to look into the eyes will become part of us." Suddenly, he heard footsteps approaching him and realized they were not his friends. His heart raced, and he turned to see shadowy figures emerging from the darkness, their faces twisted with madness. James came a faint voice. He tried to approach the source of the sound, but was met with a horrific sight. His friends were surrounded by ghosts, their faces contorted in fear and horror. "Don't look into their eyes," he shouted, realizing the warning was not just another urban legend. But it was too late. The shadows began to envelop them, and James felt his consciousness slipping away. He felt his soul being drawn into dark depths where fear and madness reigned. The next morning, the police found the old school, but its interior was as empty as before. The only evidence of their presence was an old book left on a table with the title forgotten in the darkness.